you're never completely a single writer. A novelist is a single writer. You sit on your own and you write your novel. With a show like War and Peace, we start by talking about the book with a small, intimate group, a producer, executive producer, script executive, and me. And we just talk about the things we like best, what's going to be most difficult, how should we divide it up, you know. I could do it all on my own, but I like to bounce off other people. One of the reasons I like writing for television is that it's sociable, it's communicative. You don't have to go too long on your own before you have another conversation. Of course, that can be hell if they're disagreeing with you all the time, but if what they're doing is liking what you're doing and having an idea how it could be better, and prodding and nudging me into being a bit cleverer than I was in the last draft, that's great.
I never feel like I by myself for too long when I'm writing, and maybe it's because I'll churn out a rough draft really quickly and then show it to my producer right away, or in the case of the play, my director right away. And even then, or maybe it's because, I don't know, maybe it's because I had a negative connotation with solitude, and that's my own, my own reaction that came up. But even when you're writing, you're thinking about the people. I don't know, it's like they're all here with you already, the characters or the actors or who you're going to be working with. So I never feel alone.
I write solo. I write as a partnership. I've had 2 long-term partnerships, one of 17 years, one of 8 years. And I've also been head writer and creator of shows as well. So I've done really all of those things. And do I have a favorite? Actually, my favorite has become the team writing. And I'd like to make a plea, actually, to British, European producers, and actually writers too, because a lot of writers resist the team writing thing. It's not for me, it's not my kind of thing. And, you know, I'd like to challenge that, actually, because a lot of writers who I've worked with on team stuff came into it scared, reluctant, feeling that, you know, it's going to be a humiliating experience for them, and afraid to pipe up in front of a room full of clever people. And it's not like that. It needn't be like that at all. In fact, it can be social, as you said, Andrew. It can be great fun, very, very creative. And above all, I think it helps to empower the writers.
On a good day, between the tension of the solitude of the writing and the communal experience of all getting together to do something, you come up with stuff which is better than any of you could have come up with on your own. And the end result is far more magnificent than even those little wisps that you were trying to catch. And on a bad day, it just feels like, you know, you're banging your forehead against the wall, except the blood is coming out of your wrists.
We recently had a huge commission, 78 episodes, 78 half hours. It was probably Britain's biggest sitcom commission. And we did the whole thing with 4 writers. And the way we structured it was, we'd find the 4 writers. That took time because, like any relationship, you know, you don't know whether it will work at the first. Some people drop in and drop out until you find the team. Once you've found the team, you can then really start cooking. And what we did was, we made sure that each element of the team would bring something different. Somebody would be very hot on structure, somebody would be very hot on jokes. So we'd maybe have a stand-up comedian as one of the writers who wanted to write sitcom. And then we'd actually have a system where, instead of us all writing everything, I'd split my team into 2. And one half would go in one room and the other half would go in the other room. And in the morning, one team would sort of have a crack at working out the 3 acts. So by lunchtime, you had 2 teams with you know, an idea each, and we'd pitch it to each other. One team would pitch their idea to the other team, and the other team would say, yeah, but how about if? And so we take notes from each other. Then in the afternoon, we go off and work on the notes and come up with a better version. So by the end of the afternoon, we had 2 episodes, really sort of in quite reasonable shape. And then on day 2, you'd work it up. It's not part of our culture for writers to work as teams, really. The closest that we've got to that is partnerships. Quite a few of those, especially in comedy, which is my area. There are many distinguished writing partnerships that I grew up admiring and loving and was inspired by. And we've, over the years, as I said yesterday, this is my 30th year of doing it, and we've watched the American team writing system with great interest and been tantalized by it. And but it's never truly caught on in the UK. It's been tried here and there. It's been successful even, but it's nowhere everywhere, if you know what I mean. And I'm a huge fan of it. I convert to it, really. I first came to it in the 1990s, and after my arms folded beginnings, I realized actually it was completely delightful if you got it right. And of course, it's a relationship. It depends on who the people in the team are. One of the reasons I think perhaps it hasn't caught on just so much in the UK is budgetary sort of. It's about the money, about paying a big team of writers to be around every day. That's our problem.
There's a hierarchy in the showrunner model where the showrunner is the person that has, runs the show, and usually under that is the co-executive producer, who often is the person that when the showrunner has to go talk to the network or calm down an actor or talk to the director or whatever, you run the writing room in their stead, or you sometimes represent them on set. You do whatever wherever they can't be, that's where you are. And when I'm on set, I like to say that I might work for 4 minutes out of 12 hours, right? Most of the time you're just sitting there saying, I wonder, if I go to the craft table again, is it going to look really bad? But those 4 minutes where you do work often is where you stop the show from going off a cliff. Because, you see dailies back and you're like, shit, they didn't get the thing that is an important part of, 3 episodes from now. So that's why that kind of thing has to happen. It's not so much that directors who come with an open mind and an idea that they are only telling one part of it, tend to do very well in television. And I love collaborating with those directors. But the wrong director can really sink a series.
And the ideal is a director who'll understand everything that I put in the script, do that, and then do more. Do things that I hadn't thought of without changing the lines, just go extra, surprise me in a good way.
The great thing about it is if the team is put together well, not everybody is there because they are good at the same thing. Some people are, if the showrunner is on the ball, and they usually are, you've got somebody there that's a structuralist. You've got somebody there that's a character specialist. You might have somebody that can fix problems. You have people that throw things to the wall. But I often think my job in a writing room, it's not about being intimidated and speaking up. My job is to suck until I don't, You throw a million different ideas at it, and one of the things you often say in the room is, all right, here's the bad version, right? And that's what you pitch out first. And that way, if you've got 6 people or 5 people sitting around the table throwing out the ideas like that, you never wind up with the bad version in the script. It's always the improved version. And that's why, that stuff gets better. And some of these British shows, I love British shows. My God, I love them so much. But there is this British phenomenon, I find, with a lot of the six-packs, where they kind of like the one-writer thing where you're watching it and you're like, God, this is so great, this is so great. And then you get to episode 5 and you're like, oh, I'm starting to get a little nervous here. And then it just sort of goes at the end and you're like, man, if you'd had a room, you would have come up with a kick-ass ending there.
Anyone can write one brilliant script, but when you get to number 19, 20, 21, this is the challenge. And broadcasters don't want one dazzling, brilliant script and then a total dog. They want them all to be of at least a consistent level of excellence. And if some shine particularly, great. But to get that high level of excellence across such a grueling you know, sort of number. And especially in comedy, because anyone who does comedy knows that it takes a giant amount of talent and a lot of patience and skill just to be mediocre, you know? And so the more the merrier.